but not funny, haha.
Cause the music does me good and it gives me everything. Like it fa 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 da fa 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 da fa. You hear it fa 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 da fa.
Okay, so first we'll just pretend that being a firefighter isn't like the single most homoerotic job you could have to begin with.
Bridgerton Season 3 aired its second part on June 13, delivering a satisfying conclusion for Colin and Penelope. While fans eagerly watched and rooted for the main leads, many were disappointed by what they perceived as mishandling as Francesca love story, straying from Julie Quinn's original novel and sparking heated discussion on Reddit about the gender swap twist. Fans were delighted to witness Francesca's stead love for John as he bravely stood before the Queen. However, readers of the book know her story takes a tragic turn when John passes away shortly after their marriage. Francesca is said to have an actual love story with John's cousin Michael. According to the novel, the romance starts after she is widowed, feeling a pull towards Michael with no one else to rely on. However, in Season 3, Michael Sterling has become Michaela Sterling. This change in character's gender suggests a future LGBT love story, which fans are generally accepting of, although many had hoped this angle will be more suitable for maybe some other character, but not her since she wants a baby. I think it would have been better if they had not changed the characters from the book, but instead done a series with new LGBT characters whom the readers were attached to. Reddit user wrote, "It is wrong to change the race or sexual orientation of a fictional character to be more progressive or inclusive. The reason they have changed Francesca's sexuality is because she's an introvert. My question is, why would you claim to adapt a book if you're going to change it entirely? Make up your own story. Original fiction exists." Francesca was not the only one to get their sexuality changed. Benedict as well. Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2 storyline for Benedict has him exploit his biness, raising questions about where this fits into the books. He started a relationship with Lady Tilly Arnold. His arc seemed mostly focused on dodging the eligible ladies of Ton. However, the second half of the season took Benedict's arc in a new direction, adding another layer to Bridgerton Season 3 Part 2 ending. Tilly introduced Benedict to her other lover, Paul, leading to the two hitting it off and an invitation to Benedict to join them in the bedroom. Benedict declines it at first, but he soon reconsiders and joins them. Benedict does not have the same arc regarding his sexuality in Bridgerton's book as he does in the show. I just worry that some of the audience that hasn't read the books will misunderstand and dislike Sophie when she's introduced, and they will think that she's getting in the way what they thought would be Benedict's main ship. In 2015, Iceman was revealed to be gay. Ideally, he should have remained as straight or bi. Bobby's coming out as gay is especially awkward when we consider how it happened. Rather than realizing his own sexuality and coming to terms with it himself, the younger Iceman has effectively forced on him by the young Marvel girl Jean Grey. In all new X-Men, after Bobby makes a flippant comment about the unbelieving hotness of the female teacher, Jean pulls him aside and tells him he's gay. After a 5-page conversation with Jean, during which being bi is ruled out, he rapidly acknowledges it. The problem is not that Bobby's personal realization is necessarily unrealistic. Plenty gay men come out later in life after solely dating women. The issue is that the storyline specifically and immediately erases the mere notion of him being bi. This is problematic for two reasons. One, it ignores decades of Iceman backstory, and two, it robs bi readers of so much needed representation. On the fourth point, Iceman had plenty of opposite-sex romances and attraction over the years. While they all ended in heartbreak or occasionally betrayal, that's the case for most superhero romances. Very rarely do superhero couples stay together. Claiming that Iceman's relationship with women failed because he was secretly gay feeds the harmful real-world idea that bi people don't exist. Bi people relationship with the opposite gender are every bit as real and valid as the same gender ones, and having Iceman as bi would have reinforced that positive message. Bi men in fiction are rare, and on rare occasions where they do appear, they are overwhelmingly shown as a villain or present as somewhat damaged. In having Jean tell Bobby he's full gay, it contributes to the B-male erasure and robs the reader of what could have been a purely heroic B-male character. Had Iceman come out as bi, it would have been a win-win for Marvel.
Bridgerton is more and more starting to feel like a hostage situation, because we're now going into season 4 with Benedict still a full-time slut. And it just makes my stomach hurt. Because for 3 seasons now, we've watched this man slut about as a community right. And the whole time, you know what his bride is doing? Cinderella's out there cleaning. Like, please, enough is enough. Like, free her.
Where are you going? To either get ice cream or commit a felony. I'll decide in the car.
Unpopular opinion, but changing the storylines of the main characters, Francesca and Benedict, is the worst part of this season. I cannot handle when you change the main characters' main characteristics about themselves. You can change all the little characteristics, but changing the essence of like who they are as a person, it doesn't even make sense to me. It's not like this is a brand new concept. There are books that people have read that they love, they're attached to the characters already. And so when you change that, you're literally changing a story that's already set in stone. I'm not going to change it for us. We already know what happens. We already know who they are as people. And you changing it is just like a fraud. Everyone's saying, oh, well, the show is different. It's not. It's not. The story of these people was already made. It's already set in stone. I'm so sorry, but if you change it, it's just a different story. It's not Bridgerton anymore. And none of us are being fooled by them trying to change the storylines and say that it's still Bridgerton. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I know that most of you have said you didn't like it. Let me know what parts you did like and if you will be watching next season.
You're joking.
What kind of fuckery is this?
Imagine if you had a beloved character in a book that wasn't straight. You were attached to the character, and then they decided to make a TV adaptation of this. You would expect that they would keep that core part of your character the same. But then some showrunner comes in and they say, well, I'm straight and I feel like it would serve the story better to make the story more relatable to me. So I'm going to change the character. I'm going to make the character straight. I guarantee you that you guys would be upset. Anyone would be upset because they're changing a fundamental characteristic of your favorite character and they're expecting you to just go along with it instead of being like, why did they change that? Everyone needs to remember that we are talking about discussing fictional characters. They are not real people. So let's not let our feelings get in the way while we're discussing these fictional characters and hurt real people's feelings because all of us, we're real people. So don't go after real people's character while you're discussing fictional characters' character. That's the real issue here, and the real issue we have with Bridgerton is that they're just changing things that they shouldn't change. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Jeremiah is straight in the Summer I Turned Pretty books. Most fans will be happy to accept that Jeremiah is bi, which overrides his sexuality in the books. Those unhappy by this development may want to treat the book as the proper story, with the TV show being a spin-off take. My problem is that too many bi people are misrepresented as overly sexual or promiscuous, and this is a negative stereotype present in both right-wing and left-wing circles. Both straight and gay people often perpetrate this stereotype about them. And my one fear is that portraying Jerry as a cheater could potentially buy into this negative connotation of bisexuality. I feel like they chose the wrong character to be bi. I understand wanting representation, but it's going to paint a bad picture of bi people being overly sexual and having commitment issues if they end up being a teacher. What it all comes down to is to stop changing character sexualities for diversity.